ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Podcast Juice. My name is Michael Dean. Joining me today is Mr. Tony M. Sir, how are you?
I'm doing well. How you doing, my brother?
Man, I'm blessed. Thank you so much for being here. It is an honor. Man, you are the original MC rapper that was with Prince starting out, Diamonds and Pearls. Actually, y'all started way before that.
Way before
And
that.
and what I really want to do, I'm very cognizant too now. There's a lot of newer Prince fans coming on to Prince in the last 7
Right,
years. So I
right.
sometimes I assume that they know all the stories and all that. But for those who don't, man, take us real quick back to just where it started. I think a lot of people getting into Prince will have seen Purple Rain, or maybe they're about to watch it. And you
hmm
guys even date back as far as Purple Rain, right? So
Yeah, that was our first spot. Exactly.
slide me right in
And
real smooth, like how that whole thing started.
absolutely. One correction I'm going to make.
Okay.
I wouldn't say I was Prince's first MC. I'll say TC Ellis was probably the first MC
Okay.
that he gave a shot to.
Absolutely.
Right,
You're right.
right. Graffiti Bridge. So TC Ellis,
And shout out to
St.
TC.
Paul.
Good brother. Good.
Shout out to TC. So I wanted to make that little shout out to my brother.
My bad.
Um, no worries, man. Um, I so it really started weird. I know some people have heard this before, but those who are just coming on, we started out as dancers and choreographers, and down at First Avenue doing cabaret shows, dance contests, and Damon and I were a crew called To Be Rude, and we went down there one night, won the dance contest, and I think we won weekly for about five or 6 weeks straight.
Mm,
And then another crew came through called V Train. That was Kirk Johnson, Patrick Adams, and Zeke,
okay. Okay.
right? Scott March, right? So they came and knocked us off, and then they won for about 4 or 5 weeks straight. During all of that time, they were looking for extras for Purple Rain because they were getting ready to begin some of the concert footage. At the time, everybody in First Avenue, all those iconic videos that you see
Mhm.
in the movie Purple Rain, and we were we were there to be extras. And I remember probably the second day on the set, we were like, well, man, they haven't set up any concert footage yet. We haven't been called down to be just a face in the crowd because that's all we thought we were going to be. And one of the people came up and said, listen, they have enough extras for the concert footage. Do you guys mind being wranglers? And I'm like, wrangler? What the hell is a wrangler?
That's a Western type.
And for those of y'all not in the know, the business a wrangler is you gather people from the extra pool and
Hilarious.
you bring them in for the scenes, and then they pick people out, and then for those that they didn't pick, you take them back to the pool. So you wrangle extras. We weren't even gonna be
That
in the
means you ain't
movie,
gonna never
bruh.
be in the movie.
We ain't gonna ever be in the movie, bruh. And
Wow.
uh, after a couple of scenes, I think they were just getting ready to get into Prince's concert footage, and then the times. And Prince came into the bathroom in First Avenue, bro, and watched us. We were in there during, downtime in between camera shots and angles, and that takes a lot of time. So they were doing that. We were up in the bathroom just dancing with a little boombox.
Mm,
Prince walks in. True story. Walks in, bro. Doesn't say a word. Watches us for like 10 minutes. Doesn't say a word. Just smiling. And we didn't stop. We just kept doing our thing, right?
mm.
End of that night, Alan Leeds came up with a cassette and he said, "Hey," came to Damon. He said, "Were you the ones up there in the bathroom dancing?" Damon was like, "Yeah, man. I think we in trouble." He said, "Prince loved what you guys were doing. Was wondering if you could put some dance routines together through these songs."
Wow.
And I remember Damon running up to me, "Yo, don't, Alan Lee's just gave me this. That Prince wants us, blah blah blah." He was talking a mile a minute. If you've talked to Damon, you know how fast he can talk, right? And he was just going 100 miles an hour. And I'm like, "What?" Well, at that time, I had just been called uh, to do an extra shot. I think it was a sex shooter. I can't remember.
Oh, okay.
So there's this one scene in what Apollonia 6 doing sex shooter, and if you blinked or if you caught it at the right time, there was Tone. That was my
I
one
didn't
scene.
know
I was
that.
like, bro,
Okay.
I'm like, yeah, yeah. If you go back and look at a sex shooter, you'll see me. I had the brush waves. I had the ocean going on
Oh,
up
let me
top.
go
So I was
watch
back
that.
in the day.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, bro. Yep, exactly. Um, so I told Dame, I said, man, let me finish the scene. So anyway, we wrapped up. Gave us a cassette. I pulled Kirk, uh, Damon, all of us back together, and we went to my mother's apartment in North Minneapolis, and she allowed us to move all of our furniture. Mama rest in peace.
yeah.
Um, and we put together 6 full songs. I mean, "Baby I'm a Star," "Jungle Love," "The Bird," oh, geez, I can't even remember. There were 3 or 4 more. Computer Blue. I mean, we did a gamut, and I think that was Prince's always his test, right?
Mm,
He'll throw a bunch at you and just see what you come back with. Let me just smack them
mm,
and see what they're made of, right?
mm.
I think if we'd have had 1 or 2 done, he'd have been happy with that, but we came back with 6 full-fledged different routines.
Wow.
So we cut them all up on that little balcony scene. Cut them all. We did a bunch on the floor, on stage.
Hmm,
So we're like, man, we're gonna be all in this movie. So Prince calls us for the premiere of Purple Rain, and he says, "I want you guys to premiere a song that I haven't performed yet. It's brand new. I'll be releasing it, but I don't want anybody to know it's me.
hmm.
And can you guys lip sync and do a dance routine to the track?" And I'm like, "Yeah, cool." So we went out to his rehearsal spot out in Eden Prairie at the time, and it was Erotic City.
That's a hit.
Erotic City.
That's crazy.
Right. Bro, blew our mind, right? So here we are, bro. I'm freshly out of the Marine Corps,
Mm,
right? We're just now just starting to get our feel on this, right? We're still riding the high from Purple Rain
mm.
or being in Purple Rain. We hadn't seen the movie yet, and I remember we were getting ready to go to the premiere. Prince, gives us a call. We're getting ready to get in the limo and head over to the theater, and he says, "I just wanted to give you guys a heads up. You know, guys did great routines. The footage was awesome, but it started to look like we were making a breakdance movie."
Interesting.
So a lot of those routines were on the editing room floor.
Mm,
I'd love to see outtakes just to kind of see what some of that
right.
stuff is. I've never seen any of it, but that was our intro.
A breakdance movie. I guess I could kinda see not seeing the footage, but I could maybe understand the thought about that, but yeah, wow,
About that, yeah, because Breaking was out, right? You had all of those
Beach
movies
Street
that were coming.
on
Beach
top.
Street, exactly. Yeah, Crush Groove, all that stuff was happening.
Wow.
You know,
Now, did you just say that Erotic City, he didn't want people to know that was him? Was it intention to maybe so
yeah,
people thought you guys were?
absolutely, bro. Listen, we're finishing up. We rocked it. Sheila came up after us, and then they performed, and Princeton Revolution performed. When we came off a stage, I kid you not, we're standing in the audience getting ready to watch Sheila. Eddie Murphy comes up, George Duke. I mean, icons. Um, George Clinton, bro. When you guys dropping that? When's that dropping?
Ah,
That is dope. That is dope. And we couldn't say it wasn't us. We just said, yeah, it's coming out soon.
interesting.
And yeah. So I mean, Arsenio. I mean, all just major people that I've always grown up and loved
Yeah.
and followed and fanned out on. Were coming up to us, fanning out on us, and we like, man, we ain't nobody. We ain't even started yet.
So in an alternate timeline, that song could have been in drop and said whatever the name of the group could have been, and y'all would have been the video, and you
Gone, gone,
Woo!
gone, bro,
Song had the
gone.
streets on lock
Yes, everything happens in this time,
for
right?
sure, for sure. Wow.
It's funny because I talk about the transition because Purple Rain, we thought for sure we were going on tour,
Mm,
right?
okay.
On the Purple Rain tour, that didn't happen, right? Then he came back off a tour, then he switched up totally, right, around the world in a day. I think it was
Mhm.
after Purple Rain,
Yep.
and that was a totally different vibe and feel, right? And then in between those, he would always call us up as either to do a party or to shoot a video or something. He just kept us around for some reason.
Hmm.
And then I remember it was around the Sign of the Times uh, era, and we thought we were for sure going. I mean, we were out at rehearsals every day, Mike. And I tell you, we're out there, we're over in the corner. I mean, we're pulling together on the fly, full
Right.
routines to these
Tour
songs.
rehearsals for the Sign of the Times.
Tour rehearsals, yeah, in the sound stage. I mean, they got the big sound stage set up. I mean, and they're going through it, and then he invited us out. So we're like, yeah, that's going on. We kept going out every day, thinking, oh, this is it. So we got to work, fellas. We got to work. Everything we hear, let's start piecing together these routines.
Wow,
And by the time they had finished doing the songs, man, I mean, he had footage of us doing a whole show.
interesting.
So we were just like, man, this is getting ready to happen. And I think some things changed. And Prince was a loyal cat. And if you were loyal to him, man, I mean, there's nothing he wouldn't do for you, right?
Mm,
And I think Jerome was going through some things with the time he was leaving that situation,
right.
I think this either pre-family or after the family, but so he had to find something for Jerome to do, right? And then Wally and Brooks were there also,
Mm,
and they had been together, not to our knowing. Wally was security, Brooks was, I mean, they had been there forever,
mm,
right? And so he wasn't just going to cut people off. If he could find something for him to do, he was going to do that,
interesting.
right?
Okay.
And us not knowing that, we're just like, wait a minute, Jerome, Wally,
I'm starting to
Brooks.
piece this together now. Yeah.
Yeah, wait a minute, that's Tony Damon Kirk,
Mm,
you know, right? And so, as I say, everything happens in its time. If it had happened then, you know, he may have cut some other people off who needed their opportunity
right.
at that particular time, right? And I personally probably would not have been as prepared to take advantage of when my turn came around. It was not to only be a dancer. Then he brought me on to write and and do lyrics, and
Okay.
so that just opened up a whole chasm of opportunities for me, right? And during that time, Prince, when they went out on the Sign of the Times tour, Kirk, Damon, myself, Kathleen, Kim, Kirk's sisters, and then we started our own band, right? And we were doing the college circuit, so
What was the name
that
of
helped me. Oh, geez, MPLS connection. I can't remember. I can't remember. But we were doing our own thing, man. We were hitting the college circuit, man. So it gave me an opportunity to pick up on my guitar licks,
the band? Okay. Okay.
writing lyrics, um, getting comfortable being out front as a performer, not just a dancer, but as somebody who would grab a mic and actually have to hold an audience or a stage, right?
Wow.
So that gave us an opportunity to cut our teeth during that. So when the time came for us to join the new power generation, we were primed.
Ready.
We were primed and ready to roll.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go back to the Sign of Times. I don't know if I've ever heard that angle or that story about that.
hmm
When you guys say you were working on rehearsals and stuff, like were you doing dance and choreography with like as far as with like Cat and the band and stuff, or were you guys just kind of
Yeah, well, Kat would come in and join, and Sheila would come over and join and dance steps with us. So we're like, man, okay, they're incorporating, they're feeling where we're at right now, right?
right?
And then so we're like, oh, this is going down. This is going down. I remember, I never forget when they went out on tour and we didn't go. I remember we went down. There was this restaurant called Nankin's, and it was a Chinese restaurant, and they had this drink called a Wanderer's Punch. Man, if you ever had one of those, you were toe up. And we had two or three of them joints, and I
Wow.
just remember us just being loud, man. Man, forget that dude, man. Man, we just go, yeah, yeah, it was like that, man. It was like that.
So when you guys was Wally and Brooks and them there while y'all was rehearsing, or were y'all all rehearsing together? Like I'm just curious.
No, no, they were up on stage and they had their points, but they hadn't fully pulled together what they were going to do,
Okay.
right? Jerome and I hadn't fully pulled it together. We were just there. All we knew is that we were called to be there, and then things changed.
Mm, okay.
Right? So yeah, so it was like I said, it felt like a curse, but it was a blessing at the same time, right?
Wow.
So it allowed us the opportunity to shore some things up and to bring more to the table when our time did come, right? If you're if you're ready, you don't have to get ready, right?
Right. Right.
Be ready. You don't have to get ready. It's just, let's hit it.
Yep. 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 So man, funny thing is like you guys have been around that camp for so long. From the out, from a fan's perspective, we didn't know on any of this. So you
hmm
trace it back. Yeah, like okay, Purple Rain,
Purple Rain.
Sign of Times. And then I wanted to jump into Madhouse, which I think
Okay.
sort of around the same time. And of course, you guys are in those videos. And we had Mancina on a while ago, and she was telling us about a video that she did that had never came out yet. Well, I don't know if were you guys a part of another Madhouse video by any chance you may remember?
I can't remember what the numbers were, but we did two Madhouse videos, and Manisa was in both of those.
Okay.
So, yep, and so yeah, we shot those. It was weird. We just got a call to come down to the State Theater, and they had some old gangster like double-breasted suits and stuff for us set up, and said, "Can y'all come down? We'll do this like this police, like you guys are in jail, you're breaking out of jail, and Manissa's going to help you guys get out." And yeah, and so we pulled together the routines, and yeah, man. So that was our that was I think that was our thing that we could bring to the party. He could throw something at us, we could walk away and come back,
Mm.
and he'd know we'd be ready to cut it and film it right off
Wow.
the bat.
Wow, okay. Wow. And then, you guys were in the Love Sexy video? If I'm not Love Sexy, I'm
Was
talking
it
about
love?
Clam Slam, excuse me. Was it?
Glam Slam.
Yeah,
Yes, yes.
yeah,
Yep, yep. We were the guys up on. We were up on the top on this like conveyor belt thing
yeah.
and doing our routines up there. Exactly. Yep.
Man,
Thieves in the Temple. Glam Slam.
yep.
Yep.
Okay, alright.
Yep. So yeah, a lot of people. Yeah, man. We paid our dues
Absolutely.
before our before our shot came.
And then, I think one of the arguably one of the most, famous, people would probably know you from is the song "Get Off." 21 and One Night Stand.
20, 23. Yeah, 23 positions in a one night.
When that song dropped and it started to blow, how
Uh,
did that change for you? What was that like for you?
yeah, it was crazy. I mean, because you know, when I came up with the line, Prince was like, "Whoa, wait a minute, what did you say?" And I spit it again. He said, "What?" He then Rosie, let a woman be a woman. Oh man, with her vocals on top of that, man, when we cut that and he mixed it, I remember we were in L.A. Palladium, and he pulls up in the limo, and we're in the club just hanging. He hadn't showed up yet,
Mm,
and Dwayne comes to get me. Prince's brother Dwayne comes and gets me. And he says, Prince wants you to come out to the limo to listen to something real quick." And I go out there, and I hear he blasted it, and man, he's going nuts in the car, right? He's just losing it because whenever he had that one, you saw it in him, man, all day.
wow,
He's hopping around like a kid in a candy store. And he said, "Yeah, this is the first single." I was like, "What?" He said, "Yeah, you on the first single."
that's what's up.
And I said, "Man, I said, word." He said, "Yeah, man. So take that with you, man. It's getting ready to, things are getting ready to happen." So I think he was trying to prep me
Mm,
um, for some of the changes that were going to come.
mhm.
You know, because he knew who I was, and right, and if somebody approached me wrong,
It was like,
it was
"Tony, relax,
all
they about to come with
I
it."
bro, I'm just North Side, man. Grew up in the Bronx, New York, and raised in North Side, Minneapolis, man.
Okay,
So
okay.
I just you know if they come wrong,
Very.
we'll have to we can chat about it. But I think he was just trying to prep me, man, and just trying to get me into a frame of mind that believed that you can do this.
Mm,
Because I questioned a lot when we definitely went into the throes of recording Diamonds and Pearls. And before I knew it, it was more. He was asking for more lyrics, and I'm like, man, you're incorporating a lot of rap
mm,
into this, and I don't know how your fans are gonna, I don't know. I questioned. We talked about it a lot, and he
interesting.
said, listen, I'm not. This is what I feel. I'm not doing it to ingratiate myself in the hip hop community. This is what I envision right now. This is where I'm at, right? And I said, okay. I'm like, but you could have any MC who's hitting at that time,
Right.
uh, uh, to be out there who's known, and you're just taking me from North Minneapolis. So nobody know who I am, and I'm worried about your fans not accepting it. I'm worried about the hip hop community not accepting it.
Mm,
Because there were tracks, especially in the Black album.
mhm.
Where yeah,
Daytona.
that where yeah, exactly. And so, he didn't care, man. Princess makes his moves. He flips, and he does not look back, right?
Mm,
So I think he was getting me prepared. It did change a lot.
wow. Um, I was gonna say something, I was gonna say, but, alright, so that song I know to ask, in terms of you said you were questioning it, like, where were you at in your assessment as an MC at the time? Were you questioning your skills, or were you just questioning, like, people accepting this in Prince's world? Like, or the 2?
Both, all of it, bro. I mean, I was, I was writing lyrics, that I thought were cool. My friends thought they were cool, but at the same time, how do I incorporate this into Prince's music, right? BPMs are up, right? So I had to figure out how to speed up, slow down, triples, things of that nature, right? So I think first and foremost, it was, I question myself. That's the first thing you're gonna do. You're gonna, damn, am I ready for this, right?
Mm,
Because it's getting ready to blow, right? This album's gonna drop, and then this is all that people have, right? So shoot your shot, and it it falls where it falls, right? So, and then on top of that, not only did I, question my wordplay. But he always reinforced that he would always write notes about tone. You know, it's got the wittiest pen out there, blah blah blah. But it was my voice. What voice?
Mm,
What's my voice going to be coming from the Midwest? Right?
mhm.
There were no MCs from the Midwest. Right? West Coast hadn't even started to blow yet. So my influences were all East Coast. Right? KRS.
Chuck, Kara.
You know, Chuck.
Mhm,
You know, I mean, these are, LL. I mean, these were all the cats I was listening to. Uh, so I struggle to find how. So you'll notice how my vibe changes. Like, on some songs I can't remember if it's something this house honky comes. I mean, I'm just like, I'm in your face, right? Get off, smooth me out. And I think that's where people started to vibe because I had more of this very very white deep baritone vibe, and nobody was doing that at the time.
mhm.
So I think that's where eventually I slid in at, and I wrote that.
Was it also just a matter of you getting a chance to hear yourself and like, okay, I'm seeing how I'm sounding now. And I can imagine you guys are playing live, whether even it's just rehearsals. So you
Hmm.
getting sort of very comfortable with how my voice is sounding, booming through all this
Booming.
and hearing the back and stuff. I can
It was a big adjustment, bro. I mean, because again, in the studio, you got your cans on, you can actually hear.
imagine.
Oh, that's the resonance I'm looking for. That's the intonation. Oh yeah, that's what I want this inflection here. When you're on stage and all that sound is blasting,
And you're dancing, you
okay,
guys are like super
bruh.
wow.
With no fans, Prince out there just blowing in the wind, hair blowing.
Right.
We behind him. If you see us, man, you see sweat flying, and he was always a big part because he was always filming videos, and he would always say, Prince wants you guys to come on and get makeup. I said, I am not putting no makeup on. That makeup will be gone. I don't care about no video. I'll put some shades on because that makeup is gone after the first song.
Mhm.
Halfway now, our eyes are burning. Right, red. You got mascara running in your face, foundation.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
something to take the shine off. And they say, we ain't doing it, bro. Can't do it.
Wow. Now this that
You know.
go ahead. I was go ahead. Finish.
No, 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 no. So that was the main thing, is just trying to find my voice because Prince's vocals. I mean, his mix, the engineers, they knew
Mhm,
he could he could just whisper and you could hear it over everything,
mhm.
right? So I'm trying to figure out, how do I get my mix? Well, my mix is never going to be the Prince's mix, so you got to get used to that, right? So I had to find where it was going to be. I can't be eating the mic because it was just that's all
Mhm.
it sounds like, right? So eventually, we got there. I mean, there were many nights frustrated after shows, bro. I'm like, Prince, no one hears a word I'm saying. I'm out there yelling,
Mm,
and you can't hear nothing,
mm.
but yeah. So they got to clean it up. So Prince was always on the engineers about cleaning it up. So, but that was me getting my confidence right on where I was, and you know, so he gave me a test run on Humpty Dance, and that was the first track I ever rapped with.
Really?
Yeah, we were doing a sound check. He was doing editing for Graffiti Bridge, so he was flying back and forth to the states, and we were doing sound check before he had got back. He was on his way back on a flight, and Levi was running sound check, and we just happened to be grooving. And I had picked up guitar. Kirk was on the drums, and we went into Humpty Dance. Sonny must have started. Matter of fact, yeah, it wasn't even. It wasn't. It was Levi was on bass. Miko was on guitar. So
Okay.
this is new to her, and he came in, and so I stopped what you're doing because I'm about to ruin. And I went into it, right, and everybody was rocking. All of a sudden, you just heard like the voice of God come over the system. Yeah, all right, can we get to a real sound check now? It
Hilarious.
was Prince. He came through the back of the stadium, and he was in the sound booth in the tower out in the middle of the stadium.
Wow.
We're like, oh shoot. Yep, we thought we were gonna get docked for that, right? But we didn't, man. We finished up sound check. He came up on stage. We rocked sound check, and before dinner, Gilbert came and grabbed me. He said, "Hey, man, Prince wants to talk to you." And went back to the dressing room, and he said, "Man, that was you got. Do you have a pad? Do you write a lot?" And I said, "Yeah, absolutely."
Mm,
He said, "Listen, when I go off on a wardrobe change, can you can we do Humpty Dance? This is like 2 cities down the road. We have one day, so we had a to rehearse it and actually pull it off." And I said, "Yeah, man." at Northside. Yeah, man, please, man, give me some stage. Give me some stage. What? And he did his wardrobe change, man. And now it's on me to try to hold.
Mm.
Man, these fans don't know me from nobody, right? And here I am now. Prince is gone. They don't, but
Who's this
it
mo
worked out, man. Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. Like Prince did when he came on with the Rolling Stones, opening for the Rolling Stones. They're like, "Who is this?"
Right.
Is that? It was like that. Some rock, some like whatever. But
I
you
can't
know,
imagine the pressure on that, man. And you rap, and you bringing hip hop into it. That's like,
right. So I rocked it, didn't stutter, didn't miss a lick, and he just said, "We're putting that in the set." And so we put it in the set, and then before I knew it, as we continued to record and do more, before I knew it, I had more songs in the set. And after Diamonds and Pearls hit, it was on.
wow, wow.
You had Live for Love, you had, Jughead, you had all of it,
Yeah,
bro.
yeah. It's
Yeah.
crazy. What, talk to us about, we've mentioned the rehearsal a lot, man, and we've heard stories about the rehearsal. I listen to a lot of rehearsals. What
Mhm.
kind of cat was, I wanna really just your opinion on the work ethic and the expectation that Prince had
Mhm.
on the band. Like, what was that really like? Like, was he seemed he was deadly serious about.
Bro, he didn't play. And that Gemini, you didn't know how your day was gonna go till you saw how his day was going, right? Because he walk in, I'm like, which Prince, I think Morris has told the story, which Prince are we getting today? And we kind of lay back and we wait and see, is it a joking day or are we a down serious day?
Mm,
Right? It's or just lay low and you'll stay in your lane, don't do nothing extra and try to get out of this rehearsal unscathed.
wow,
Right? Because he would blast you, man, and it would make no qualms about it.
really?
He would get you. He would get you. So we from a dancing perspective and the choreography, we knew our stuff. So we didn't catch much flack,
Mm,
right? It was Matt Fink. It was Miko. It was Levi. Michael Bland. I mean, everybody got their lickings.
wow.
And the engineers would never want that job, bro. They were gone. He's gone. You thought you were in the mix doing your thing, man. They fly you in from Timbuktu. Guess what? You're on a flight out the next day,
Wow.
that night. Yeah, they're bringing somebody else in. He went through engineers like you wouldn't believe, but he was meticulous, man. So when you're going through your routines, I mean, even when I cut my vote or wrote my lyrics, I wrote them as whole songs, right?
Mhm.
He saw it as a part of something else, so he would break up stuff that I had and say, "We're going to use that here," or "You're going to put that second verse that you we're going to put that at the top." So that was his producer hat coming on. And for me, being new to this, I'm like, wait a minute, you busting up my that wasn't how I wrote it. That wasn't the flow. So that gave me an opportunity to try to grow and understand producing
Mm,
and things of that nature. But his rehearsals, nonstop, nonstop.
wow. It was a
And you
job.
you you worked for yeah, yeah, bro. I mean, we would probably start around between 10 and 11 rehearse till sixes, at least six
Mm,
o'clock.
mm,
So, you got good 6, 7, 8 hours. And then if, whatever was in his head, boom, we're going to shoot a video. So we go, had a ton of wardrobe. So we shoot a video. And then now here comes the mandatory fun. There's a party tonight out at Paisley. And we're going to, so that's what we call mandatory fun. I'm ready to go home, man. I'm not trying to hang out at no parties. I was never the club guy anyway. So I like to do my work and just go home. I was a homebody.
so what was
But
that like for you then? If he was like, "Okay, we got a show tonight, or a party tonight," do you have to stay there, or did you have to come back? And then
yeah, yeah, you go home for a minute, yep, and freshen up because you're funky. You've been dancing and jumping around all day, shooting videos. Time to go freshen up and then drive back. And I was in North Minneapolis, and a lot of us were in South Minneapolis. So that's a drive from North Minneapolis to Chanhassen. And nothing was out there at the time. It was just Paisley Park. It was just dark roads,
mm,
and but you come out there and it'd be packed. And yep, so you'd hang out for the party and be seen. Or and then when Glam Slam opened, that blew the lid off
wow.
at that point. Yeah,
Jumping ahead, man, to the NPG album, Gold
yeah.
Gold Nick. Let's
Oh, yeah.
get that re-release that one. But what was the mindset with these choices, the title, the themes of the song, Black Motherfuckers in the House, was that you or was that the combination of y'all? Because that was very militant. type of a
It
record
was.
for it
It
still
was.
is even for this time, like, that's a Prince sort of production. I'm curious who came up with all that.
I think collectively we came up because we used to joke around like we're in Barcelona. I'm like, again, these is just brothers from the hood and from Oakland and San Francisco and Minneapolis, and we're like, bro, here we are chilling in Marbella, Spain. We like, go nigga. So we should say that a lot. So
Okay.
you would pick up on this, like Levi would always say, "You sexy mother." So things and songs would derive out of just all of us joking around and having these conversations. So we started recording the NPG album, and unknowingly, um, I I get a call, and we be in London, and Prince calls up and says, "Hey, come to the studio." And I'm just thinking, okay, yeah, I'll come on in, bro. They pulling me up. I'm at Abbey Roads. I'm like, what?
Wow.
Oh, this is what? Wait, what? Wait a minute.
Mm.
You didn't tell me where I was coming. He said, it's a studio. I said, no, bro, it's the Beatles shot, man. What are you talking about? And but we kept recording tracks, and I just remember the feeling at the time because the Seven album, the Symbol album, and Diamonds and Pearls. Um, Prince was so gracious, man, and giving me my writer's credit, my publishing
Mm.
on every song that I wrote on. So he was schooling me on the business, man. He didn't cheat me on anything. He was just like, I need you need to make sure you get your attorney right, and here's what we're doing for splits. Make sure that you always get your writers and publishing right um, on those two albums. So I was doing well, right.
Mhm.
Um, Other band members who didn't have an opportunity to write or contribute in that fashion, um, were not getting paid, you know, um, like they wanted to. So I think Prince and I, and even as a band, we talked about, making sure that it's more of a collective. No matter who wrote on it, everybody gets a piece
Okay.
of the tracks,
Okay.
right? To make it more equitable for everybody. And I remember uh, Prince and I having a conversation as we're probably about, I don't know, about 6 or 7 songs, and I remember how the Times albums were recorded,
Mm.
and I didn't want that to happen with us, right? As NPG,
Mhm.
I mean, talented cats, man, just like the Time, talented cats, but it was Morris and Prince
Right.
in the studio who cut all that, right?
Mhm.
You listen to the backgrounds closely, it's all Prince, man.
Mhm.
It's all Prince and Morris, and I didn't want it to be all me and Prince, right? The fellas had to be involved in it, and as we started cutting, we just so he agreed. I still think he had his vision, which I still didn't know about. The band did not know about. All of a sudden, he comes in and he sets a cassette down and he says, "Here's the NPG album." We're like, "What? Wait a minute, bro. Hold up. Okay, now I'm fronting. I'm the front man,
Mhm.
but we never talked about a concept. We never talked about what are we going to say. I mean, we've cut a lot of tracks. A lot of them are funny. A lot of them, segues are crazy.
Mm.
I said, but um, it to me, it wasn't coherent at the time, right? There was no flow
Mm.
to the LP, and not knowing he was putting this out as a message. This was him beginning his militant stage
Mm.
for Warner Brothers, right?
Mm.
And so a lot of these tracks, I mean, were really directed at Warner Brothers,
Got
right?
Yeah.
We were the conduit. We were the conduit. We were the to deliver that message.
Okay.
Exactly. So when I was spitting like Black Mama, and man, he was all over it.
I
He
got
was all over it.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely,
Interesting.
absolutely. So yeah, it was a shame it didn't actually release because there were some bangers on there,
Right.
and I hope eventually one day they re-release it and actually do a release, and they'll probably change to blur the name out or something like that. Who knows? But back then you could say a lot, right?
Right.
Nowadays,
There's
people
a
get their feelings
timepiece of
hurt.
the time, like, that's yeah, you even a multi superstar like Prince could have, almost like a hood version of Goldnick, you know what I'm saying?
There was no doubt. He was straight hood, bro. I tell people that he was nothing but a pimp, a big old pimp.
That's crazy because I guess it reminds me of, that one segue, or if I'm saying the right word, where you were talking about the money minders and
Yes,
all that kinda
yes.
seemed like that was kind of that same sort of
Absolutely.
theme.
That was part of it, yeah. He didn't even know I had that, and, it was funny, because, I remember people having to do a deposition. I think
I remember hearing about this.
Agnoli and them tried to sue Prince and said that was about them. Bro, I wrote them lyrics 2 years ago. That I had the pad that I wrote it in, the date because I
Wow.
date everything I wrote, right? And I wrote that coming off of the Grammy. It was a Grammy show. It was American Music Awards or Grammys. And when Little Richard came up, I think he was about to give out an award, and he said, "Man, ain't nobody ever gave me nothing."
Yeah.
Blah blah. I think a lot of people remember that,
Mm,
and that sparked me to just write about that, right?
wow.
And so when Prince heard me spit that, and it was just a talk, and he said, "We're just gonna it's gonna be blank, and then, we're just gonna have you just that whole verse, just read that whole verse, and we'll record it." And did. I didn't know it was gonna be a segue. I didn't know what it was gonna be. And and sure enough, man, they had to go to court over that. And the person, everybody got deposed, but the person who wrote it, me.
Hilarious.
No one, yeah, I said I didn't shut the door down. I had my pad. I expected a phone call to say, Tony, they want to talk to you about it because they don't believe that they think Prince wrote it. And I'm telling Prince didn't write none of that. I did.
Wow. So,
Yeah, it was
what's his name? Stephen Fognoli, whatever.
Magnolia. Yeah,
Was
yeah,
he mad that they was like, he thought he was talking about? I mean, like, what was he
yeah, yeah, yeah. He felt like that it was defamation. Yeah, yeah. So he went on that trip, and I was like, what? I couldn't believe it. I'm like, oh, why is he going after Prince? Tony wrote it.
answers? Well, yeah, I guess he's going for the money, probably.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He ain't getting none from me.
That's funny style. Wow.
Yeah, 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 yeah. So that's kind of where that went, man. It was crazy.
Wow. Okay. Um, let's see what going back to some of the hip hop stuff. I'm just curious for your frame of reference, and you had mentioned some MCs earlier. Like, what was
Hmm.
who are your like top five? Who's like your top five MCs?
Oh man, that's hard, man, because it's probably the time and place, right?
Mhm.
And where you're at that time. Chuck's in my top five, got to be. I mean, he was a big influence when I first came. I mean,
Mhm.
I was all about PE, man. I was all about KRS-One. They just had messages. Grandmaster Flash, Melly Mel and them, the message.
Mhm.
Those were things that I gravitated toward, right? Because they had something to say. It wasn't just hip hop and party, and it wasn't. There was some content.
Yeah.
There was and so those were mine. But if I had to, oh man, I don't know. I don't know. There's so many, man. K Dot, Eminem. I mean, they're in my group. Pac, Biggie, come on, DMX, man. I could go on.
Okay. Okay.
It's never ending, man. I could go on, man. Outcast, my crew, right? Andre 3000 for
Yes,
me,
sir.
just underrated.
Sir.
All right, man. The way he flips his wordplay, come on, man. I'm just
You already
yeah. So that's hard. I couldn't give you five. I could rattle off about
okay.
10 or
No, that's
15 that
good.
I love. Yeah.
Have you ever met any of
So I met Shakchi, which was an honor, right? Especially after my break came on his track, the Humpty Dance with
them? Right.
Prince, right?
Okay.
I met Pac. I met
Really?
Pac, and matter of fact, Pac and I, when we were cutting Gold Nigger, we were about to begin some. Prince wanted to shoot a movie around it, right? A small film,
What?
and I think he was going to have Spike Lee work on it, and me and Pac were going to be in it.
Wait, wait,
And
wait, wait,
so
wait,
that,
wait. Slow down.
yeah,
You
bro.
just
No
blowing
one, no one
heads.
knew. Yeah, yeah, man. Yeah, it's true. It's true. And no
So
one, I think
movie?
then I think Pac ended up going to jail on the rape thing. So that kind of shut that down. But yeah, Paco and I, we were in conversations all the time, man. And I mean, this was
And Pac
hold your
was
head up, Pac.
Pac
This is
was
hold your head up,
okay,
Pac.
and he was in
This was
Glam Slam too. There's that classic picture of Pac and Biggie in
hmm
Glam Slam. I don't know if this is a this might
no, I've no, no, yeah, I don't know if there's a photo. Well,
oh,
I met Pac at Glam Slam, LA,
I think we lost
right? So we were
Tony.
doing a party out there, and
Oh, did
Pac came out there, and yeah, and hung out, and we connected right away.
wow,
And then Karen Lee, which was like a stepmom for Tupac, was help managing Prince at the time. So we had the connection already,
okay.
and so Pac hit me up. I called him, and man, if we could have done it right, I mean, because Mary J. Blige and I were gonna do a duet on
What?
yeah, bro. Yeah, it was a lot of people don't know about a lot of it, man. It was all in the works, man. And just yeah, things happened, and
Wow.
couldn't make all the connections. But yeah, if that had happened,
Oh,
That first NPG album, man,
would have been ridiculous.
ridiculous,
It
man,
was already
ridiculous.
ridiculous, but that would have been
Right. Yeah, that'd have been next level, and that would have took, all of us to another plane, and that's what he was setting us up for, man. He was setting us up for the jump off, right? Because
mm,
when you come in, you realize you have a finite amount of time,
mm,
right? 'Cause he changes bands like he changes his draws, man, right? So, you come in, you get your work in, you contribute what you can at the time,
mhm.
and then as time moves on, hopefully you're set up to continue. So he was about setting us all up for future work.
Wow. And I'm gonna be cognizant of your time, but I do want to ask, again, for people, a lot of us never got to meet Prince, never really got to chop it up on a
Right.
deeper level. What kind of dude was he? Because particularly for newer fans, that you see these pictures and the image and everything,
Hmm.
and that's one thing. But like behind closed doors, amongst real people, like how was
Yeah.
he? What kind of person was
It's funny, man, because he was such a jokester, right? And you would love to make him laugh because he had this gut busting laugh, right? He was a prankster. He talked crap like with the best of us.
he?
So he could play the dozens. He could bust and cap on everybody, and yeah. So I mean, that was that North Minneapolis. That was that Minneapolis in him, right? But at the same time, he had this knack of teaching and schooling you without you feeling like you were being, you know, uh, taught. You were absorbing information that he was giving you, right? And before you know it, you're like, man, where did I pick that up? Oh man, that brother told me that.
Yeah. Mm,
Tone, always watch out for this, or Levi, watch out for that. And so he had a way of explaining things to you where you didn't feel like you were being taught or told like a parent, or you know what I mean. You know what I mean. So you absorbed the information, not even knowing that that's what was happening, and you were able to use that. His knowledge and his thought process was so unique,
mm,
right? And how he processed things. So me, I would fly off, right? He's like, Tone, think about it in this manner, or,
mm,
or approach it in this, maybe approach them this way.
mhm.
Now, he was great at doing that. Whether he applied those same lessons in his own,
Hilarious.
it was something else. I'm sure he did, but whenever you just like listen to him talk, he was very purposeful, and very insightful. I mean, he saw things that a lot of people did not see, and he was trying to school people, right? Hip hop,
Yeah, yeah.
MCs owning their own masters.
Mhm.
I mean, these were things that he was fighting for everyone. And now I think everybody, well, until Napster and all that stuff came through, I think people were starting to get what they could get. Now the streaming services, it's a different game. I have people asking me all the time, Tone, oh, what do I do? How do I get this copy written? Who do I take it to at a record label? I said, bro,
Mhm.
them days are gone.
Mm,
Them days are gone. Artist development, no such thing. You better come with a fan base. You better come with streams and hits. And you better show you have somebody already ready. Otherwise, you won't get no distribution.
right. Yeah,
It ain't happening. It ain't
that's
happening.
man, let me ask you, if in terms of the people that's been in the Prince camp, who have you stayed in contact with? Who do you is there any people that you still, even these years later, that's still my man, or I'm still real cool with her, or whoever it is, like,
Oh yeah, 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 man. So I still talk to Rosie every now and then. I'll check in on her just to see how she's doing.
okay,
Um, man, everybody in the camp, man. Nobody. We had no enemies, bro. There was no animosity
okay.
from one band to the next. I love Wendy, Lisa, Suzanne, Matt, Bobby. We all see each other, and it's just family, man. It's
Mm,
all family. So I wouldn't say that there's any one person that I met. I mean, everybody treated us like, I mean, we were just coming up as dancers, man, but they all treated us like we were part of the family, right? So big loss, right? RH to Craig Screamer, right? Maserati
mhm,
brothers. I mean, Terry Casey I've known since we all grew up in Minneapolis, but these brothers, man, everybody was just cool, and if you were ordained by Prince, you were family, and that's what it was.
okay,
So
okay.
I talk to a lot of them still to this day, Facebook, or if we just see each other, chop it up. My big bro Jelly Bean, we always Jerome, we all talk, man.
That's dope.
Wally up into his passing, uh, you know. So yeah, it's family. There's no doubt, nothing but love.
That's good to hear, man. That's I love to hear that. And and salute to your brothers, Damon, of course, been on the show, real good cat. And I haven't met him personally, but salute to Kurt. The three of
Okay.
y'all, Game Boys.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. Thank you, man. Yeah, yeah. Them are my brothers, are ride or die. They listen. No matter what changes in life that we go through, listen, we still all got each other. It don't matter.
That's who you
It don't
came in
matter.
with. That's who I'm gonna go with.
That's where I'm rolling out with. That's it. That's it. I
Man,
rolled in with you. I'm rolling out with you, dog.
absolutely, absolutely. Here's my last one for you, man. It's been 7 years since Prince has passed on.
Mm.
How do you see things? What's your take on it? Like, do you think people were, responding to the music, or do you see people getting into this? And just how do you think he's being handled? And we're not talking any sort of slander type of stuff here. I don't
Mhm.
do that kind of thing.
Mhm.
I'm just curious, because you were part of this. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I'll say that from our perspective, trying to keep the legacy alive, right? Keeping the music alive and performing it, uh, uh, not as a tribute band, but as a band who helped create this music with him. Um, the fans are very receptive, and welcoming, and they just love what we're doing, right? So um, we're doing what we can to keep it moving, right, and to let the music not be forgotten. I hope that they open up the vault a little bit more,
Oh,
and release some of that. I mean, there's stuff in there, man. But the family needs to figure out how they want to handle it. Because it took a while for that change
mhm,
to happen. So there's a lot of moving pieces that I'm sure that they have to work through. But we're here for them, and we're going to continue to do what we do, and to make sure that nobody is slandering anything, and keeping
absolutely,
my man's memory
absolutely.
alive and well.
Okay, okay. And with that, Imma just say, man, I'm looking forward to the, Diamonds and Pearls, you dig?
Yeah,
Re-release,
you
all that
heard, you
good stuff
heard.
coming through.
You heard? I can't wait too, man. I know I did a lot of interviews, and I think they were just prepping to start to get stuff ready for it. So I'm excited to see what new is going to be. Are they going to flip something else in there, and
Mm,
maybe some video footage and stuff? So I'm interested to see what this final package is going to look like. I'm excited also.
right on, man. Tony, thank you.
Right.
You got any performances you guys got coming up? Anything
Yeah,
for the summer?
we have some corporate things coming up, man. Like we're going to Hawaii here in about a month or so, and
Oh,
then I'm coming back to the celebration. I'm going to do a 50th anniversary hip hop panel discussion with Chuck and Dougie Fresh. So I'm
wow.
blown away by that. If you'd have told me that 10, 15 years ago that I would actually be sitting on a panel talking about hip hop with Chuck D, bro, I'd have lost it. I'd have lost it. So
You're probably like, I
you
don't even
tell
wanna be here to it,
I'm
Chuck.
I'm gonna have to keep my shades on, man, because I don't want to fanboy too hard, man. I didn't fanboy for James Brown, and that was my idol, right?
Wow.
So I got to try to keep it cool. But Chuck's my guy, man. So I'm
So,
I'm I'm looking forward to that. I've met Dougie before. He was totally cool. That was at the first celebration that we did. So
okay,
I'm looking forward to it, man. And then we have a couple other spot shows to do, and yeah, so we're still trying to work that out, and yeah, so we're still working, bro. It's
that's
a
what's up,
pro.
man.
It's
Yes, sir.
progress. It's the progress, man.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, there you go, Mr. Tony M. Please,
Bam,
and
bam, bam, bam.
when you see him on social media, salute to him. Tell him you appreciated him sharing his stories. And listen, we're about to get up out of here, but work it like a job. We'll see you next time. Peace.
My man, Michael Dean.
All right, there we go, man. Man, thank
All
you,
right.
man.
My brother, it's always, man. I got you, man. I'm sorry.